Now, I haven't been talking about Solana for quite a long time, and that's partially because the current trend is not very pretty. Now, this is just the price chart. If we look at the total value locked, that doesn't look that much better. There was a lot of excitement peaking in December of last year, and since then the total value locked went from almost 15 billion to currently 4 billion. Measured in Sol tokens, it's not necessarily a problem, but the overall ecosystem is contracting. And still, even after that contraction, the ratio of the market cap relative to the total value locked is still comparatively high for Solana. So we've got the Binance Smart Chain that's got a pretty high market cap to total value locked, but the Binance Smart Chain has a lot of adoption, right? A lot of active development, 400 protocols being deployed there. Solana has only 67 apps. And so we are a bit in a dilemma here, right? Let's look at the relative pricing to other cryptocurrencies. So this is Solana measured in Bitcoin. This is a pretty typical chart. A lot of people look at these kinds of relative valuation charts. We've seen a drawdown of 88% in 2020. Currently, relative to Bitcoin, we are looking at a 67% drawdown. Now, versus Ethereum, that doesn't look that different. Here, the drawdown is 61%. And even if we look at relatively poorly performing cryptocurrencies in the past, like Solana, measured in Cardano, still we see the underperformance here. Phantom also saw pretty much of a decimation. Again, at least in the past few days, Solana underperformed. What about BNB that has a similarly high market cap versus total value locked? Here, the underperformance is almost 70%. Now, there's several ways to look at this, right? On the one hand, we could simply say, okay, Solana is very, very cheap right now. The idea is to buy low and sell high. On the other hand, what I find very important is to look at the cause of that decline. Is this simply just bearish momentum in the overall crypto market, or is there something more fundamental going on? Some people say Solana is going down that much in terms of total value locked because the initial backers are exiting. Or in other words, venture capitalists invested very early. They got a lot of return, and when they've got the opportunity to sell, to rebalance their portfolio, they do exactly that. And that's potentially not just true for the SOL token itself, but also for its ecosystem tokens, right? So for example, when we look at Radium, one of the main decentralized exchanges on Solana, we can see that its relative performance is even worse. So I'm now looking at Radium divided by Solana, right? So this is not the Radium US dollar price. That would be this one. This doesn't look that great either. But the inflation problem becomes even more apparent once we look at relative performance to the ecosystem. And this, by the way, is pretty common for decentralized exchange tokens. So whatever DEX token you take, right? Let's go for the Binance Smart Chain. So let's look at Cake. So that's the Pancake Swap token relative to BNB. We see something very similar. We see an underperformance. Look at any decentralized exchange token and show me the outperformance versus the chain token. You would pretty much never find it. And so this is accelerating the total value locked decline on the chain. If the SOL token cannot appreciate, then the underlying ecosystem tokens that have their inherent leverage in it, that have potentially higher inflation, they are going to go down even further. Now, of course, if fundamentally you like using Solana, right? If fundamentally you are a bull on this, on the ecosystem, on the people involved here, then by all means go ahead. The only thing you have to be aware of is that Solana is already relatively expensive, as in relative valuation within crypto, right? It's market rank number 9, and it's got a market cap to total value locked of 3.8, which is only trumped by Ethereum and Near. So when you're betting on Solana, you're pretty much hoping for all the main issues to somewhat resolve over time, right? The potential outages that we see, the potential adoption issues due to missing EVM compatibility. So your upside is somewhat limited. Is the downside limited? Well, this depends on your fundamental analysis, right? But just based on technicals, based on price dynamics, I'd rather wait until we see that the current trend is somewhat at least stopping. I think it's important to see that people stop selling off Solana. It's unlikely that we are going to directly shoot up from here, right? That there's a kind of V-shaped recovery. It's much more likely that we might find a floor at some point, be it now or sometime in the future, that we play with that support for a while and then turn around again. But I personally am not a fan of catching a falling knife, and this is definitely currently a falling knife. And that's not just in US dollar terms, that's also relative to all kinds of other cryptocurrencies. So if you appreciate this kind of honest analysis, feel free to give this a thumbs up. And of course, don't forget to subscribe because I do publish videos regularly. There's a public Telegram channel. Feel free to check that out as well. Simply search for Bitcoin Strategy channel within the Telegram app. And last but not least, you might want to check out the premium membership. The link is in the video description, or alternatively, you can check out this video with more details. Hope to see you in that video, and thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.